Hey everyone, this is Fabriello and welcome back to a new video. What's going on? 2 videos in 2 days. I know, madness, but okay, let's move on. This is actually a video response to the JAM GameCast, a channel that I recently subscribed to. Definitely check it out. They have a lot of good content, both in forms of podcasts and game discussions, reviews. Really like the material they put out, and this was particularly fascinating to me since it's about the top 5 least favorite JRPGs I've ever played. Was really interesting. After watching Matt's video, I was really thinking about it. So I have to do it because since I always say that the JRPGs are my games, I have to mention that, of course, I've stumbled upon RPGs that obviously I don't like, specifically even JRPGs, because I always mention like how much I disliked Ultima for often I've mentioned that I really didn't like Ultima when I played as a little kid, and that was the first RPG I ever played, so that was a good start. But luckily, thanks to JRPGs, I actually fell in love with the genre. But obviously, I've encountered JRPGs throughout the years that I did not like. And today, I'm going to talk about these games that for one reason or others, I didn't like. So it's most about like JRPGs I don't like rather than my least favorites of all time, because I would say that they're not these games are not necessarily bad. I'm not saying that, because for a game to be bad, to me, it has to be really bad, and certainly some of these games are not bad, but I did enjoy them. I didn't like my time playing them. So let's start. A couple of them, of course, I cannot show you because they're both in Italy. First, let's start with Kingdom Hearts 358/2 Days on the DS. In a recent video I made on RPG series that I haven't played, that I've missed, Kingdom Hearts was there. So I never played a Kingdom Hearts game. That's not entirely correct. I touched a Kingdom Hearts game. I mentioned that I own one, and that's this one on the DS. I didn't even remember the title on that video, so now I checked it out and write it down. But I remember that I played it for 2 hours and I really didn't like it. I was like, what is this shit? Basically, I think at the beginning of the game I was playing something in the Aladdin world, and but I really didn't like it. As like, no, this is not what I was imagining for Kingdom Hearts. Because when the first game was released on the PlayStation 2, the idea per se was really attractive, was really interesting, but I didn't have a PS2 at the time, so I skipped it because I said, oh well, it looks interesting. Because also I saw that it was made by Square, obviously, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, but alas, not on the Xbox, of course, because that was my console of choice. Silly me, I know. Instead of the PS2. Once I got the DS, I saw there was a Kingdom Hearts game on it, because obviously they crapped that series on every possible console, like the PS2, the PS3, and the PSP, the DS, the 3DS, everywhere. Even the Game Boy Advance is a Kingdom Hearts. It's everywhere. So I said, well, let's try it. But of course, I didn't know that it was like, what, the 5th game or something in the series, since obviously there are like a million Kingdom Hearts games and remakes. So by this point I kind of lost interest in the series. As I mentioned before, like, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts, but I'm not in a rush to play those games. So we'll see what happened, but I definitely didn't like 358/2 Days. So maybe one day I'll pick it up on the PS2 and try it, but as I said, I'm certainly not in a big rush to play Kingdom Hearts, especially after such an underwhelming experience with this game on DS. Like, not really my cup of tea. But again, if you like Kingdom Hearts, that's fantastic. I mean, that's not nothing like as I said before. I just want to clarify more. Like, this is not an attack on your series. If you like these games, that's great, because two of these in particular are going to, I don't want to say rub some people, because obviously this is just my personal opinion. So whatever. But we'll see later. But let's move to the next one. Actually, again, and I can show it to you. And we're moving to the PS Vita, and the game it's Grand Kingdom. Because I was expecting something much better with this game, and it's not bad at all. That's the thing. It's just I really couldn't get into the gameplay, because I'm a huge fan of strategy RPGs, and I was really attracted by the art style of this game. This game looks gorgeous on the Vita, and I know it's also on the PS4, and maybe it's better on the PS4, but I just couldn't get into the combat system, that sort of board game movements, and you can just control a couple of units. No, I wanted something like a Fire Emblem, but with this graphics, basically. And that's not what it is, and maybe it is later in the game, but the first, like, I think I played 5 hours or something, and I really couldn't get too much into it. And also probably it was like, since it wasn't rubbed me the right way, I just moved to something else and shelved it, and this has been on the shelf since then. And it's unfortunate, because as I said, I want and wanted to like this game, but someday I will try it again, and maybe I will love it. Who knows? But so far, this might be one of my least favorite strategy RPGs I've played, simply because the gameplay was really not grabbing me. But it's not the worst, because I see potential in this game. I think this, if I manage to grasp the combat system and I try to like it more, I think I might enjoy this game. Because I said there are a lot of things I like, and as I already stressed, especially the art style, because I love this type of graphics and characters design and everything. But yeah, since, as I said, I wanted something more like, Jeanne d'Arc on the PSP or Fire Emblem, and I think there was thinking if I have some. I don't think actually I have, like, I wanted like the big strategy RPG for the Vita, and this kind of disappointed me. So we'll see. Maybe one day I like it. I still have hope for Grand Kingdom, because it's not my least favorite strategy RPG. That honor goes to a game that I cannot show it to you, because it's far away, locked in a closet in Italy, far away from my sights, and that is Hoshigami Remix on the DS, as I said. My God, that game was killing me. Again, it's a strategy RPG, and it's insanely difficult. That's what ruined the whole experience for me, the difficulty. And we're not just talking about out of nowhere difficulty spikes, like, I don't know, Growlancer, Wafer of Time, which I was really enjoying that game, but all of a sudden it became friggin' impossible. With Oshigami, it was stupidly difficult from the beginning, and I was really annoyed. It was getting super frustrating, and I was almost at the point of snapping my DS in half, and that was not good for me and my blood pressure at that point. So I just decided, fuck this game. I really have no time for this. And it was really disappointing, because as I love strategy RPGs, it's like one of my favorite subgenre. To find such an underwhelming game, because again, like, the art style was kind of good, but nothing special. And I barely remember like the story or something, because I didn't play for too long, because I couldn't go anywhere. It was just too hard. And it's not one of those things like, oh, you pussy, you cannot play a difficult game. I mean, I play some really challenging game in my times, and I still do, but there should be a sort of scale, like a progression in the difficulty in the game. It cannot be impossible from the beginning. I mean, that's too random. But who knows? Maybe one day I will try it again, and maybe it will become one of those games that I love to hate, like Robo Warrior or something like that. But I'm certainly not in a rush to play Oshigami again, but maybe I will I will get into it much better. Who knows? That's also one thing with games, that's saying that I hate a specific game. Maybe it's just for that specific moment. Maybe I'll play it another day and I will love it. That's why I never give up hope on certain games. There are exceptions, of course, but for the most part, games like, I don't know, Grand Kingdom or Hoshigami. I mean, Hoshigami, it's kind of borderline. I have a really bad memories. I haven't touched it in many years, almost 10 years now, but wow, because that game really broke me. Let's move to the third, and this is like one of my least favorite for real. Like, I really don't like this. I mean, it really pisses me off. And it's also a big one, and it has a lot of fans, but I cannot like this. I tried with 2 games, so this is a big choice because it's a huge franchise, but I really, as representative of this sub-series, let's say, we got Phantasy Star Zero and Phantasy Star Portable, as they are the representative of the Phantasy Star Online games. I don't like them at all. Really don't like them. Because I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the original 4 Phantasy Star games. I love those. Every time I say that I love Phantasy Star, I refer to those 4, like the original one, Phantasy Star 2, 3 Generations of Doom, even though it's kind of wishy-washy at times, but I love the ideas behind it. And of course, Phantasy Star 4, what can you say? It's one of the best 16-bit RPGs of all time. That game is a friggin' masterpiece. And then we got Phantasy Star Online, which I appreciate. I really appreciate its place in history. Of course, it's a big deal, of course, to have this huge multiplayer-focused game and all of that. But the thing is, it killed any possibility for a new proper Phantasy Star. And after Phantasy Star Online, especially like the whole thing with the Dreamcast, I mean, that's good stuff, nothing to say against it, but I would love to see a Phantasy Star 5 instead of to me, like, mediocre action RPGs instead of a proper Phantasy Star game. It really annoys me very much. Like, the first one I tried to play, Phantasy Star Zero, I really tried. I say, let's see what the big deal with this sort of games is. Of course, with the DS, maybe the online, it's not how it's supposed to be. Also, like, I'm not a huge multiplayer kind of guy. I play this for the single player, and I really didn't like it. I never finished it. I had no intention going back to this. So I tried, but I didn't like it at all. With Phantasy Star Portable, again, I really tried, and it's a bit better than Zero. At the end of the day, I didn't really enjoy it. Technically, this is a sequel to Phantasy Star Universe, which I heard it's already not as good as Phantasy Star Online. I reached the final form of Dark Star at the end of this, but I wasn't able to beat it. And by the time I was there, I was already getting tired of this. Because these games are just, like, as I said before, like mediocre action RPGs. They really didn't click with me. As I tried with 2 games, and I always tempted to try, for example, Phantasy Star Portable 2, and I was more than willing to play Phantasy Star Nova, but of course that's Japan only, so there's that. I know the PS Vita, it's region 3, but I cannot play an RPG in Japanese. I don't speak the language. I cannot understand it. And now I love the fact that now there was all the fuss about, like, oh, there's a new Phantasy Star coming. Oh, it's on mobiles only. That to me was such a big middle finger to the fans. It's mobile only. It's so annoying with these Japanese companies. I remember when Sony did it for Wild Arms. It was like, I always wanted a new Wild Arms. All of a sudden, like, a new Wild Arms incoming. I was super excited, and then it's only on iOS. And I was like, It's the same thing with this new Phantasy Star game. I was reading on Facebook. You can see all the comments, all the thing, like, oh my god, it's a mobile. Why are they doing this? I understand why, of course, but it's still so annoying. And also, why didn't they release Phantasy Star Nova in the West? I mean, I would have tried, because I read it was a good game actually. So maybe that's the good Phantasy Star Online kind of thing. But considering how much I love the first 4 games, the passage from traditional JRPGs to those online focused action MMO kind of gameplay, it really didn't work for me, and I really don't like the whole Phantasy Star Online sub-series. And I'm still dreaming. I know that by this point it's most likely a pipe dream, because I don't see Sega doing a proper turn-based Phantasy Star again. Who knows? I mean, they've been doing this sort of mediocre Phantasy Star games since the Dreamcast, so it could be a good idea to change. And especially, I don't understand why they don't let Atlus do something with the Phantasy Star series. I mean, that's one of the things they said basically the week following the buyout of Atlus by Sega. They say, like, they can do whatever they want with our old IPs, but the only thing they've done so far is Persona 5, and obviously they need to squeeze that and doing the dancing nonsense games. So we'll see what happened. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think there is a 1% chance of getting a Phantasy Star 5 eventually, but I think it's getting slighter and smaller. So I wouldn't hold my breath for Phantasy Star 5, but I still have hope. Let me hope for a proper Phantasy Star game eventually. And finally, the grand finale. I mean, this is by no means, of course, if you know me, you probably can imagine what I'm about to say. This is not a bad game by any means of the imagination. I would say this is a good game, but nothing more. And certainly, I don't think it's the masterpiece that everyone just blabber about this game, and that's, of course, it's Final Fantasy VII. That's an extremely overrated game in my opinion. As I said, it's not a bad game, absolutely not, and I've always recognized its importance. It's the perfect example of the right game at the right time, of course, because RPGs were on the rise on their own, of course, but Final Fantasy was the spark that allowed the RPGs, the JRPGs explosion of the 90s with the PlayStation 1. It's funny, by the way, that I always say RPG, because for me it goes without saying that I'm talking about JRPG. I don't feel the need of specifying every time JRPGs, because I barely consider Western RPGs. So, but I played Final Fantasy VII. I beat it on the PlayStation 1. I didn't like it, especially because I think there's the amount of praise. This game, it's almost created a religion around it. I don't understand it, because after I finished, I was like, it's not as good as I've heard. It's not as good as everyone say it is. With that said, actually, I absolutely love the combat system. I absolutely love the soundtrack of the game. I despise the characters. I think it's one of the worst cast of characters in Final Fantasy history. Cloud might be, if not my least favorite, one of my least favorite Final Fantasy heroes. I don't see the hype behind Sephiroth, for example. I don't think he's the best villain of all time. There are so many more interesting ones. Even within the Final Fantasy series, how can you beat Kefka, for example? To me, Sephiroth was just this psycho with big mother issues. That's Sephiroth to me. The whole thing with Aerith, I mean, if you don't know that, what kind of gamer are you? What kind of rock are you living under it? But everyone was saying, oh my god, it's the first time they kill an important character in a JRPG. That was not true at all. Even I knew it back then. I mean, sure, it's shocking because it's a character you've been with since the beginning, but it was not the first time a character was killed. I mean, look at Phantasy Star. They did it. Phantasy Star 2 and 4. Look at Chrono Trigger. They kill the main character, not even one of the. They kill the protagonist in Chrono Trigger. And the funny thing about that, like also like the overall story, I mean, it was very confusing, and I lost interest very quickly with the Final Fantasy VII story. I mean, by the halfway point onward, I was really not paying attention. They lost me at one point. I was like, no, this is not interesting. I was disappointed by the ending, as I said, and I really didn't like the characters. It just didn't click with me. With that said, I mean, as I said, I finished it because it is a good game, but I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece. I'm sorry, guys. Obviously, you can say how wrong I am for saying all of this, because it's one of those sacred gems of RPGs, and it's kind of like, it goes without saying that if you like RPGs, you have to love Final Fantasy VII. And it's not that I'm saying this simply because to go against the mainstream opinion. Not at all. It's simply like I played it back in the day, and I didn't like it. I thought there were so much better games on the PlayStation 1 alone, let alone the whole genre. But just with the PlayStation 1, there are so many better games, like the Breath of Fires, of course, we obviously have to say it, Legend of Dragoon, Grandia, Wild Arms. I mean, Final Fantasy 8 and 9 are both better than 7 to me, especially 9. 9 is fantastic. Front Mission 3 to go in a strategy RPG. There you go. But yeah, really, it didn't click with me. And as I said, there are elements in Final Fantasy VII that I really enjoyed. As I said, the gameplay, especially the combat system, the music. I love the setting, especially at the beginning of the game. I absolutely loved Midgar. And I absolutely love the Shinra Corporation, but other things really bounced against me. I mean, especially Cloud. I really didn't like Cloud. But so there you have it. These are 5 of my least favorite RPGs, or let's say 5 RPGs that I really don't like, and why. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Definitely check the JAM I cannot speak anymore. The JAM GameCast. I'll put the original video in the description below. Do video responses to this. Let the topic flow, or just leave comments to let me know what you think, or what are RPGs that you don't like, actually. So again, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time, and take care.